Hi, welcome to week 7. This week we'll cover several things. First, we'll explain descriptive analytics. Then we'll apply descriptive analytics to prescribe the best course of action for the future through optimization and simulation. Then we'll compare internal and external business processes. And then we'll outline applications and analytical methods for the following departments: HR, manufacturing, finance, R&D, and customers, as well as suppliers. Thank you so much. Hi everyone, it's week 7. We're going to cover prescriptive analytics. Remember, that's a very advanced form of analytics. We're able to look at different scenarios and pick the optimal one for future action. Basically, learning objectives are to explain descriptive analytics and look at some of the applications for them and determine the best course of action. We're looking at internal, external business processes and looking at various departments where analytical methods such as this can be used. Here's a nice little cartoon about prescriptive business analytics. Here's a definition, very important. It basically synthesizes big data, mathematical sciences, business rules, machine learning to make predictions that suggest decision options. I call it scenarios for the business to make and predetermined outcomes. So it answers what is the best action and what if we try this, what will happen? Is an optimization and simulation. It's not looking at present data, but in fact is looking at past data and predictions, but not just one prediction. It allows you to do different scenarios and look at the different possible outcomes from those scenarios. And here's some of the tools which are available today, and there are others. So here's some success stories using prescriptive analytics. A lot of companies that use data analytics are using it to gain an advantage. That means they're able to make decisions, forward decisions using these. And one example of a success story is a very high return on investment by First Tennessee. And again, First Tennessee is a bank. They make loans. They want to assess the risk of prospective borrowers, and they were very successful using prescriptive analytics in minimizing their risk and maximizing their return. Target, had some difficulties in the past with some compromised data, but since they put some prescriptive analytics tools in place, they now have gained something like $23 billion since it was put in place. And of course, most of us use LinkedIn, and that has also been a great benefit for them. Again, the function of prescriptive analytics is to make decisions, business decisions that give you different options to optimize your results going forward. Models that are used in this effort include linear programming, sensitivity analysis, energy programming, goal programming, nonlinear programming, and simulation modeling. For the purposes of this short discussion, we're going to focus mainly on linear programming and simulation modeling. So simulation is using a tool that allows you to do some what-if scenario planning. One is a Monte Carlo simulation. In other words, it's making a forecast based on known information. In both cases, in all cases, actually, it's using distribution by fitting data or industry practice, and basically coming up with different simulations and parameters in all of them to see what is possible. Marketing analytics is an example of prescriptive analytics, specifically looking at what kinds of things do we want to offer customers and what should we expect the outcomes to be. HP is in that. In the hpdirect.com, they hired a lot of data scientists and they used mathematical programming and increased their conversion rates almost by double. So let's talk about linear programming and some of the models that are used. So, we're focusing specifically on the left bubble, prescriptive. It's looking at decisions around reallocation of marketing expenditures, trying to fine-tune the marketing mix, the 4 Ps. And also it's looking at using social media scheduling. The various departmental domains of business analytics, all of these should be familiar. It's almost the whole, I guess you could say it's the whole firm itself, the departments that make it up. So prescriptive marketing analytics are very important because they predict future response rates, conversion rates, profitability of a campaign. And as it was shown in the earlier graphic, it's a matter of allocating resources to achieve better outcomes. One of the most frequently used methods is called RFM, recency, frequency, and monetary value. This is a way of looking at lifetime customer value. And we'll talk about these. Again, this is a descriptive analytic technique. So just to kind of define RFM, recency, frequency, and monetary. So a type 1 error is an error where a company ignores a customer that should have been contacted, and if they had been, they would either purchase or make new purchases. Type 2 error is where a company initiates a marketing offer to a customer that is either not ready to purchase or wouldn't purchase, based on the offer. And so the RFM approach is meant to avoid both types of errors, making sure that we're only going after those high potential prospective or current customers that are going to make a purchase based on our offer. Talks about the timing of the most recent purchase. In a car rental example, let's say, for example, the average customer rents a vehicle for recreational use once every 3 years. So the recency would be once every 3 years. The question is, if we made offers to that customer, would they actually do an unusual rental? Would we get something out of it? But the recency values are that the customer hasn't made a purchase in a long time, or it's been somewhat recent, so a little bit shorter interval. One is recent, and then the highest value is very recent. So frequency talks about the number of past customer purchases. And very similar to recency, except substitute the word frequent for recency, the values are, they're not frequent at all, they're not frequent, sometimes frequent, somewhat frequent, frequent, and very frequent. And again, the idea is to try and improve or increase the frequency of purchases based on a marketing initiative. And then monetary value, as the name implies, talks about the amount of purchase. So the average purchase. Obviously, you want to increase that amount to increase the lifetime value of that customer. So much like with recency and frequency, we're looking at the amount. So are they a very small buyer, a small buyer, a normal buyer, a large buyer, or a very large buyer? So we want to move them up to a higher level of buying or value, the higher monetary value. Example of distributions based on recency, frequency, and monetary value, just to show you that they are different attributes of a customer and what you're trying to improve, the levers of improvement for a marketing campaign, and what you would try and plan through scenario planning a marketing campaign in prescriptive analytics. Here's a linear programming model for recency. This is just a Excel spreadsheet, if you will, just looking at the recency, how what time interval has the customer purchased things from. And this is the algorithm. This is what we're trying to optimize or maximize for recency. And again, here are some of the results, different decision variables, and this is a tool, a graphical tool, using simplex linear programming. Again, this is another kind of result using the same tool. And now we turn to frequency, or how often people are purchasing. And so here's the formula and some actual data. And again, that same graphical tool using linear programming tool, and an example of some results for frequency, or how often people buy. And another screen capture from that same tool, this time with continuous decision variables as opposed to non-continuous. Very much like the ones before, here's the algorithm and some examples. Here's that same system, linear programming system, but again solving for monetary value, and there's some of the past values there. This is binary decision variables, and this is continuous decision variables, again for monetary value, using the same linear programming tool. Okay, so this is kind of the big data dimension on things, and it's saying that you can use a lot of big data is using unstructured data and combining it with structured data to accomplish what we just went through. To be successful, it requires support and promotion by the top management team. You go back to the appropriateness of the data, even though it's from diverse in different formats, diverse sources and different formats, it still needs to be appropriate. You have to have the in-house or contracted analytical skills and IT support to pull it off. So in closing, we've over the course of this quarter, we've talked about descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics, and the focus this course or this class is on the prescriptive analytics using linear programming, 1, 2, or 3 dimensions for RFM, recency, frequency, and monetary value. That concludes this session, and looking forward to the next one.